Player and the Geek by Little Miss Cliché. Chapter 1. I woke up to the sound of my stomach growling fiercely. Even in the darkness of night, I could see remarkably clear. Normally, I was almost blind without my glasses, but this fact didn't seem to faze me. I turned my head and looked down at my best friend, Carla. A part of me wanted to wake her up and tell her I was hungry. Even though she and I had been friends since preschool, I still felt awkward roaming in her parents' kitchen without her. Don't get me wrong, I loved Mrs. and Mr. Steele, but digging around in their fridge for a midnight snack seemed a bit intrusive, especially for me. After a couple seconds of debating what to do, I finally jumped off the bed with every intention of heading downstairs alone. Carla had a slight smile on her face, and I just didn't have the heart to wake her from what had to be a good dream. I tiptoed down the hallway, as quiet as a mouse. The stairs were a little trickier, and they kept creaking with each step I took. But finally, I did it. I managed to make it to the kitchen without so much as waking the dog. A rather content smile formed on my face as I opened the refrigerator door. My stomach growled with approval. I reached in and grabbed the milk and started to turn around to head for the cookie jar when I was paralyzed by his voice.
"Hasn't anyone ever told you you shouldn't eat after 8 o'clock?
When he spoke, it was deep, low, and much huskier than usual. I looked up at Christian and smirked devilishly. "Hasn't anyone ever told you you shouldn't sneak up on people?" I was a little surprised at first by my straightforwardness. I was usually a lot shyer. Normally, Christian Steele, Kara's older brother, never paid me much attention. He saw me, but never saw me. He talked to me, but never talked to me. He was Bridgewalk's most confirmed player, and he never really socialized with people younger than himself, aside from his sister. So I was a little surprised that he was actually talking to me. In a normal situation, he would have just walked by and not said a word. This night had suddenly just become a lot more interesting. Right away, I knew that he was noticing me now because I wasn't wearing my glasses, which reminded me again, why didn't I need my glasses? The thought drifted away when he said seductively, "But I thought you wanted to be snuck up on." He took a slow step toward me. He had a look in his eyes that made me catch my breath. He wanted me. Christian Steele truly and honestly wanted me. "Maybe I do," I answered in a whispery voice. I stepped toward him. My hands were aching to grab him, and my heart was thumping wildly. Christian Steele wanted me, and soon I was gonna have him. Every girl in Bridgewalk would be envious of me because he wasn't just going to take my virginity. We were going to be a couple. He was going to love me, and I was going to love him. Like everyone in Bridgewalk, I knew that Christian wasn't a virgin stealer. Yes, he slept around with a lot of people, but they were always experienced girls. He would never take a girl's innocence, no matter how much they begged. Everyone knew that about him. He was a player with morals. So, when Christian said, "I want you, Charlotte, and tonight, I'm gonna have you," I knew, me and him, we were gonna be together forever. After tonight, I was gonna be dating the sexiest man on earth. Little Charlie Locke, known for my high grades and mad chess skills, was gonna be dating this town's most eligible bachelor. This was a dream come true. After years of crushing on Christian, he was going to be mine. He reached for my waist and pulled my body up against his. Without further ado, his lips crashed down on mine with a primitive urgency. My hands reached up toward his head and grabbed onto his soft, dark locks. His hair wasn't too long, but not too short. It was just long enough for me to run my fingers through it, but short enough to still be fashionable. "Oh, Christian," I moaned against his lips. He pulled me tighter against him before reaching down and grabbing onto my lower thighs, that part that wasn't covered by my pink check boxers. Suddenly, I was being lifted into the air and then placed down on the island counter. He spread my legs open before fitting himself between them. I could feel his excitement pressing against my inner thigh, even through the fabrics of our clothes. This only made me more excited, and maybe just a tad fearful. His lips came back down on mine, but this time with a savageness that I couldn't manage to express. His tongue eagerly invaded my mouth, and the sweet, lemony taste of him enveloped my senses. I felt like I could melt. My insides were exploding with sensations I never dreamt possible. Even while his hands roamed my body, I felt like I was being zapped with pleasurable shocks with each touch. His right hand slid down my arm and then back up before grabbing onto my breast. I gasped and he moaned, "Charlie, you are gorgeous." He said each word between kisses. I felt like someone had let butterflies loose in my stomach, and my heart was hammering inside me. I was sure it was going to burst right out of my chest at any moment. After all these years, he finally wanted me. Oh, Christian, this is like a dream. His lips pressed against the tender skin on my neck, causing heat to spread through my body. That's because it is a dream, Charlie. I froze. What? He continued to kiss me like his words hadn't just completely stupefied me. But then suddenly, he pulled away from me and looked down with an evil grin. It looked so foreign on his face. Christian normally wore a mischievous smirk, like he knew secrets that no one else did. It was his trademark smile, but this was not it. This was evil and malicious. This was not Christian. "This is a dream, you silly girl," he laughed. "Do you actually think I would waste my time with you in real life? Look at you." He looked me up and down with disgust. "You are a geek, a nerd. The only thing you are good at is doing my homework." "Yeah, maybe I should start getting you to do my homework." His laughter grew louder and louder and louder, until finally I woke up with a loud gasp. And then my stomach growled. It had all just been a dream. To be continued. Please come back to watch episode 2 of Player and the Geek. I hope you enjoyed.